It's a little bit different for the start of our video because you don't usually see me looking at the camera, because I don't usually like that, and I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. It's very late at night and I'm absolutely exhausted. But for this video, we literally jumped straight in because I want to show you how it all started when we first got on the horse here. So the background info is the horse is called Blue, and he come to us because he was basically booking his rider off. He had kissing spine surgery and he's had the time off, and when they restarted him there was quite a bit of attitude there, and so it was getting a little bit dangerous for the rider and escalating slightly. So they contacted us to see if we could take him for some retraining. So we have. So when he came to us, he did look really, really well. So initially, we're kind of thinking, well, he looks very, very, very full of himself here. But, we'll see how we get on with him, getting going. Actually, Matt was this time the first one to get on, which made quite a change for me to be on the ground watching him have a little bit of a bronking episode with one. But you'll see from the video now when we start, this is literally, we've had him a couple of days, he settled in, and we've brought him to the school and Matt's gone to get straight on. And yeah, enjoy the video because actually there's quite a transformation with this little horse, and really, really pleased. He's now been with us 7 weeks. The last video clip you'll see, which is actually of me riding him, was taken 10 days or so ago, and we've been really working now with his owner riding him, and they are coming along absolutely fabulously together. But yeah, it's a bit of a long one, but it's quite interesting, so enjoy. Oh, right, so yeah, everyone meet Blue. So as you can see, Matt literally went to put his bum into the saddle, and just as he's about to walk forward, he starts having a little bit of a rodeo there. It did stop. I went towards him. Blue turned to face the gate and didn't follow it through any further, so Matt got off. So this is us. We've popped him on the lunge because we want to see what's going on. And as you can see there, he is full of it. Is a prick, he's chomping, he's just, having moments and not quite sure what to do with himself. And I mean, you can also appreciate he looks incredibly well. And this is a horse that's just trying to come back into work. So hopefully it is more of a case of him feeling too well in himself rather than that there's any pain issues. But we have got to obviously have a bit of an open mind and see where we go moving forward with him. I mean, he certainly looks on the lunge there that he's moving well enough. And we wouldn't usually pop them on the lunge, but we after what he's just done, we kind of want to get an idea of what's going on in his head. You see, changing the rein, he's just looking around. He's not really concentrating when he moves. He's floating away quite nicely, but everything's a little bit of being a playboy there with him. So as I said, hopefully it's not pain related, but we will take a little step back and see what we can come up with. He is already started now on the SFM from the Equine Edge, so hopefully that will start working its wonders over the next few days for him. So what we've done is we've come back in out the school, and now we want to just see how he'll react if you get on him in the stable. And I mean, he doesn't look bothered in the slightest, does he? I mean, look at that face. Not bothered in the slightest, kind of probably wondering what the hell we are doing to him. But again, this is quite a positive step, because had we brought him back into the stable and Matt had kind of gone to get on and he'd gone rodeoing around the box, then yeah, we've probably got a little bit more of an issue about things. But yeah, I mean, he's looking around at Matt as if to say, what the hell are you doing? So there was no he gave us no warning signs when we originally tacked him up. Tacked him up all absolutely fine. He just stood there munching on his hay. So we knew that he had been obviously bronching his rider off. So there is obviously something going on. It's just a case of getting to the bottom of it. He has suffered with ulcers in the past. He's obviously had the kissing spine surgery. So what we want to do is give him a few days now. Walker, as I say, let the SFM help do its stuff. Get him out into the paddock, see how we can kind of manage him, do some treatments on his back, and go from there really. And then give him a few days and hopefully restart him again. But what we'll do is we'll keep getting on and off him in the stable. I mean, he obviously isn't bothered there as well, but doing it another day when he hasn't gone out and done any work and things like that. But he's just closing his eyes, just falling asleep with it all. You can see Matt's face. He's like, really not bothered by this at all, is he? But as I say, really positive. So he's done quite a little bit here on this first session with us. I mean, you can see there we've got the Equisage on him, the Optimus Lumina. That's where he obviously had his kissing spine surgery. So we want to rule out that there has been any signs of pain, whether it's just memory related or there is something still bothering him. So what we've done is Matt's been getting on and off in the stable over the last few days. So we've popped a lead rope on him today and just led him out of his stable because he's been quite comfortable in there. And I'm just leading him to the school. And this now is his proper first day ridden with us, because obviously the first attempt didn't go very well. And all we want to do today is just bring him out into the school and make sure that we don't get any of the antics that we had originally. So there's going to be no pressure put on him. He's just allowed to kind of have a little mooch around the school and see how he feels. Yeah, he's walked around absolutely fine. We did it on both reins. He looks quite happy there, not bothered. So we get off and we leave it and call it a day. So this is the next day we take him into the school. And you can see he's just trotting along there. Matt has actually got on him from the mounting block this time and everything was absolutely fine. And he looks happy enough. I mean, there's the freshness that he displayed when he first came, and the bit of the temper, that isn't really there at the moment. So what we've got to do is hope that it just doesn't rear its ugly head again. Hopefully now kind of getting him back into a little bit more work. He's on absolutely no hard feed whatsoever. He has a handful of chaff so that he can have his gut supplement, and then he's out in the paddock overnight and he comes in during the day and he has a hay net. You'll see that he'd emptied his hay net when there was picture was taken of the Equisage. He's got a good appetite. And we just kind of need him to be probably looking and feeling not quite as well as he was when he first arrived. We need to kind of get that balance now of he needs to be back looking more like a thoroughbred rather than like some very fat show pony. And it's finding that balance with them that is so important, because the edge can just tip over, and especially horses this year, the grass has gone wild and it sent quite a few of them a little bit wild themselves, shall we say. And when a horse like Blue has had a few issues where he's been in and out of work, he's been having those moments where he's not quite sure whether he's coming or going, which is, to no fault of the owners. It's just that things have happened like that. And he's, still been having some feed as well. It just tips the balance the wrong way for them. And so what we've got to do is get it back and get them back enjoying the work and happy and relaxed. So we had a little canter there. Now, what we do is, you can see Matt was just trotting along nicely and he just broke into canter, so we've just let him do it. there's no pressure on him at the moment. All the work that we're doing with him, it has to be relaxing. He's got to find it easy. We don't want him getting tired. We don't want him feeling tired. This is a horse that's coming back into work after he's had back surgery. So everything we do with him, it's just got to be enjoyable. And we've got to make sure as well that he can relax, because if he's relaxing over his back, which then means that he's going to feel a lot more comfortable. He's going to start moving a lot freer with us. Because as you saw in the video of him trotting, he was flicking his toes. So this is my first time riding him. And yeah, so you'll see he's absolutely fine with the mounting block. Not at all bothered by it. And thankfully, he walks away nicely without doing what he did to Matt that first day. And he just looks a lot better in himself. He's not as wide in the head as he was. He just looks a little bit more chilled out about life. And yeah, it's quite nice to have a little sit on him. So what we want to do is as well start switching about, because obviously his owner will come and ride him soon. So I'll have a little sit on him a few times and we'll see where we are with him. So again, just asking him to drop his head. Just want to have him nice and relaxed. And I mean, he's got a lovely little walk there. And yeah, so the banner got put up yesterday. Well, the day before this video was taken. And obviously he hadn't seen that before, so I hadn't even thought about it, to be perfectly fair. But the reaction there was also very good and very positive, because the horse that originally came to us, had he come around the corner and saw that banner then, I think there probably would have been a complete explosion. But as you can see, he kind of looked at it, stepped sideways a little bit, and just kept staring at it. So what I want to do is kind of make sure that he gets a little bit closer to the banner as we start going round, but without making an issue out of it. It's important anyway not to make issues out of things with them, because the bigger the issue you create, the bigger the problem you create at the end of it. And a horse like Blue, who's shown that he can have a bit of a cheeky moment about himself, I certainly don't want to get us in a situation where I'm probably not going to win. So I've walked him round, we've had a trot, we're coming back round to the banner again, and we'll just see his little ears are pricked, but he's not too fussed by it at all. Which again, the reaction is really good and really positive for when we start having his owner come to ride, that he's not going to react badly to things that he sees. So suddenly there's this little pony floating away underneath me, which is quite impressive. He's moving so much nicer the more work he's been doing now. And as I said, we've not been overworking him. All we want to do is just kind of get him nice and relaxed and comfortable over the back, get him focusing on doing some work these days now. And hopefully we can get back the little horse that the owners originally had, with a little bit more improvement. And you see he carries himself lovely. Ideally we would just want that frame a little bit longer and a little bit lower at the stage where he's at. I mean, beautiful for the way he is, but ideally for a horse that we're just bringing back into work, I would just like to see him a little bit more stretchy. But look at him flicking his little toes. He obviously really does enjoy his work. And again, all positive things coming from him. I mean, from the horse that we first sat on, that literally tried to take Matt for a little rodeo around the school, and the attitude that he had compared to what we've got now is quite unbelievable. So you'll see there with the canter, it's a little bit short, only in the fact that he's just want him to be moving, as I said, a little bit more forward. He's still having a little spook at the banner, but the best thing to do is just ignore it and avoid it. Looks fabulous, but again, at this stage, I would kind of like him to be a little bit longer and a little bit lower. But we'll take what we've got and we'll work with what we've got. And if that's where Blue's actually happy and feeling comfortable at the moment, then that's where we'll leave it. And what we've got to be careful is, we've still got to remember that this is still a horse that, he's had kissing spine surgery. So we don't want to overwork him. We've got to make sure that everything's strengthened up correctly. And we've also got to make sure that, we're taking 2 steps forward and not a step back. But a beautiful little horse. Really nice ride. Not that bothered by the banner anymore now. Still having a little look, but I think he's a very, very sweet little horse, actually. And it just shows that, when he first came to us, he'd had all these issues with bronking the rider off. And a lot of it was just the situation that he'd ended up getting in. He was too well, a bit too overfed. The grass coming through, wasn't helping. Coming back into work, he was just feeling too well in himself to be coping with what was being asked of him. So this is actually my second day riding him, and you can see the frame's already just a little bit longer and a little bit lower. There's a good boy. But I certainly don't think we have any issues with the back now. And he's still having, regular treatments with the Equisage and with the Lumina. Whilst he's here, we'll keep up with all of that. So, going from when we first had him to this video here now, so that's probably about 5 weeks. And the first week, we obviously didn't do an awful lot with him. Well, we didn't do an awful lot with him in terms of riding, but that doesn't mean that, things aren't happening, because that's what it's all about. It's not always about how much the work-wise you put into them there. It's about what you're actually doing for them behind the scenes as well. And putting him in the right frame of mind and the right place to be starting his work again. I'm really, really chuffed with him. You'll see he just looks a lot looser in himself, really. He nearly doesn't do himself any favours because he carries himself so well that we kind of just still need to loosen everything up a little bit for him. At this moment, we just want everything to be a bit floppy and relaxed. There, into canter. And it's just trying to get that canter a little bit more forward if we can. And again, we don't want to be doing loads of it, but the more forward we can get him to take him, the less short and choppy he is on himself. Which also then in turns means that he's putting less pressure across his back. If we can get him a bit longer and lower, see every moment and every movement there that he comes a little bit back up. I want to be soft on my seat with him because I don't want to be bouncing about on his back when his head comes up. And these are all schooling issues that can cause damage to their backs at this stage. So you've got to be so careful. The rehab and things bringing them back into work is exactly like when you first have your racehorse in your retraining. That initial period is the most important part of starting your horse. And if you don't get it right in the beginning, you're actually putting so much pressure on their backs and can be causing so many issues for them without realising it. And I think he's flicking his little toes. I think this is, where the hard work is done at the beginning of their retraining. And And he's obviously been very, very nicely schooled in the past, because he's literally just slotting back into it. But I don't want him to really slot back into where he was originally, because that's not it. We've had to take steps back with the kissing spine surgery and stuff like that. So it is all about rebuilding him up from the beginning again. But there, it's just a little bit of a longer frame. Good boy. And just moving a little bit more forward for me. I mean, you can see he's working himself quite hard all the time, so don't want to be doing loads with him, because as we said previously, the last thing we want to do is to make him feel tired, mentally and physically, because if you do, that's your step back, and they're not going to want to come out and work for you the next day. He's basically been schooled for about 10 minutes a day, 10-15 minutes a day. And we've just put down a pole on the ground here for him to have a little wander over. His owners were interested about doing the poles. He's not bothered, absolutely not bothered in the slightest, which, he's done some poles with them before, so really pleased. But I'm not going to focus on loads of it, because for us now at the moment, it's just about building and strengthening him up a little bit. He's worked really nicely today, so we'll just trot over the pole a couple of times, and then he'll be finished for another session. But you can see the head is just a lot lower than what it is originally when I first started riding him. And the difference now to what he was from the first session that Matt rode him, he's come on leaps and bounds, and that's probably the period of 4 weeks of the ridden work to where he is now. So after this stage, what happens now is basically we start getting his owner on him, and now we work with them as a team together, because we've basically got him where we need him to be, but now we need to get them back working as a partnership. And I think it's all going to be great.